Hello and thank you so much for clicking and for watching this video. It has finished Newcastle United 1, Wolves 1 in the Premier League at St James's Park. Goals from Lascelles for Newcastle and Neves for Wolves. Doesn't really do much for Newcastle in terms of their fight for survival. They are now 4 points clear of the relegation zone, but Fulham have that game in hand, of course, and if Fulham win, it's a point. And of course, those two teams, Newcastle and Fulham, still have to play each other in the next few weeks in the Premier League. So it's all to play for. And I think there's been a lot of criticism around Steve Bruce as of late, and based on results, you'd say rightfully so. But I think there have been performances from Newcastle that I've watched this season where I've come away thinking, how are they in the position that they're in, and is it all should it all be put on Steve Bruce, or is it the players, or is it a little bit of both? Now I can just put the performance tonight. That's a game that I feel that's the game, the one that got away really, because I thought for the first hour I thought they were the better team. Wolves had a little spell towards the end of the first half, but really I think Newcastle surprised them with their approach to this game. They played on the front foot. I thought Almiron looked really bright before his injury. Same for Maximum. So Maximum, I can never pronounce his name, so please could somebody tell me, because I try and remember it, but he got injured. Saint Maximum, and losing two of your, let's say, your quicker players, probably your two best players, that is going to have a massive impact. And I think it did definitely change the game, especially when Sir Maximum came off, because I thought he was fantastic. And Newcastle, I was getting worried for them in the first half, because I thought, right, they're creating these chances, they're working the goalkeeper. At some point, they're going to have to take one of these chances, and they weren't taking them. And Wolves, in probably the last 10 minutes of the first half, they started coming into the game. And I thought, Wolves have got a lot of quality. They've got enough quality there to get a goal. Fortunately for Newcastle, they got a goal in the second half, but of course then the change happens, and Wolves then go on, get the equaliser. Whether Dubravka should have done better with that, I'm not so sure. It's just a brilliant header. It does get a hand to it. Then, of course, later in the game, he makes a magnificent save. So it is the one that got away for Newcastle. And I think when I look at the performances against the likes of Liverpool, that 0-0, thought they were the better team on the night. And they beat Southampton 3-2. Yes, you could say they conceded 2 goals, but they were really good on the day. And then that performance tonight is, again, one that got away. Should have been 3 points, but they dropped 2 points there. And it will be disappointing. And I'm not so sure that they have it within themselves to put these kind of performances on from now until the end of the season. And even if they did survive, they might do. I don't think they will. I think they're going to get relegated. But if they do survive, you then have to ask yourself, if you're a Newcastle fan, what is next for Newcastle? What is next? Because for me, if they survive in the Premier League, it's the same next season. It's the same every season. And a lot of people will say, oh, change the manager. Well, you change the manager, the outcome won't be the same, because the owners aren't really ambitious. All they want is Premier League football. So there's no takeover. That we all thought as football fans that takeover is coming, and it's what is needed for Newcastle United Football Club. It didn't happen for a variety of reasons. And that must be frustrating, because there was that little bit of hope and that little bit of optimism amongst Newcastle fans. And there was definitely, for me, who's not a Newcastle fan, there was definitely a curiosity. I was thinking, you know what, this club, when I was growing up, were really competitive. And then what happened to them? And to me, it makes no difference if they're in the Premier League or not. It makes no difference. But I think just having that takeover would have added something new to the Premier League as well. And I've said it in multiple videos. We want this league to be the most competitive. So if there was a takeover at Newcastle, they would add something else to the league, but it didn't happen. And but that must be frustrating for them tonight, and for Steve Bruce as well. I really like Steve Bruce. I think he's a good bloke. He always seems like a nice bloke, but I'm not so sure that he has it within himself to get get the very best out of these players. And that's not me saying he's a bad manager, because I think what he did at Hull, he did a really good job there, and they were very close to winning the FA Cup, and it just sort of fell apart. And he's done well at other clubs as well, And but I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know if whoever you get in to manage that team, that football club, you know, it will be the same story. They won't get the support. They won't get the backing, and I just wondered, it's not. I wonder what the working relationship is between when you get there between a manager and the owner. Like, what is that relationship like? It has got a big history, that club, but it's not won a trophy since the 50s. And when I was a kid, that was the thing that you always heard people say on Match of the Day or Sky Sports or Sky Sports News or whatever. They'd say, "Oh, Newcastle haven't won a trophy since 1950, whatever it is." And now it's 2021. I'm 35 years old, and they're still saying they've not won a trophy since the 1950s. So something has to change at Newcastle United, but I'm not so sure that it will change. Certainly not anytime soon. If it was going to change, it would have changed by now. But I think Mike Ashley is just thinking, if we can have Premier League football next season, I'm happy, because the fans will be back in the ground, and that'll generate more revenue for them. Because when people say, I'm going to boycott, I'm not going to go, and that's very difficult. That's very difficult, especially for season ticket holders. At Man United, I'm a member, so I don't have a season ticket, and even then, it's very difficult for me to not go. At the moment, it's easy because no one's going. But if you're a season ticket holder and you've been going for 30, 40, 50 years, it's very hard to break that cycle. And as well, someone else will just come along and snap up your seat, your place. And so I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen at Newcastle. I think they are going to get relegated. I think they are going down. And I'm not so sure that they'll come straight back up. I'm not so sure that they will come straight back up. And, maybe if you're a Newcastle fan, you'd rather be in the Championship, because at least, you're winning. You can go, you can enjoy attacking football, you can enjoy goals. But in the Premier League, it is at another level. And they've started to become a little bit, and if there are any Newcastle fans watching this, which, if you are, I thought you should have won tonight. You're starting to remind me of Sunderland a few years ago when they were in the Premier League, and it's one of those teams that just sort of makes up the numbers. Now, I might have said this in a previous video. Maybe it was about Newcastle, maybe it was about another club, but starting to feel like they're just there. They're just there, but they're adding nothing to the league. It is ringing a bell. I'm sure I've said this before. I just feel like they add nothing to the league. But, as I said before, they have put on really good performances in a few games this season. And, if they could do that on a consistent basis, they'd be okay. They'd be all right. But, again, if you're a Newcastle fan, do you want to just be just all right? Do you want to just be in the league sort of around 11th, 12th, 13th every season? No, you don't. You want to be competitive. You want to have that hope. And I imagine it's really frustrating being a Newcastle fan. Being a Newcastle fan, knowing that it's the same thing every year. You're getting a new manager, and it's the same thing every year. And you have a bit of optimism. You got Rafa, but he went, and then it's like you get Steve Bruce, and then you're not happy with that, and it's this frustration. It's this frustration building, and you can't do anything about it. And then you have performances like tonight, where you think you're going to win, and it's taken away from you, and now you're 4 points above the relegation zone, where it could have been 6. And this frustration just builds and builds and builds. And I can't imagine what it must be like to be a Newcastle fan. I can't. I sympathise with them. I sympathise with them, and what I would be really frustrated about if I was a, because we all love nostalgia and we all love looking back at things that our clubs have done, the success, winning trophies, certain matches. Newcastle's 4-3 against Liverpool, those two absolute thrillers of games. Newcastle being in the Champions League, playing Barcelona. I have memories of that, and I'm not a Newcastle fan, but that was the 90s, that was the early noughties, and it's gone now, and that's all that people seem to. When my Manchester United, when we were playing Newcastle last week, they were talking about Newcastle and Manchester United in a title race in the 90s, and that's all that they seem to be able to talk about with Newcastle. They just cling to this nostalgia, but they finished second, and they were 12 points clear, and they didn't win anything. But that Newcastle is gone. Ginola and Ferdinand and Shearer and Cernacek and Philip, they've gone. They've gone. Sir Bobby, I love Sir Bobby. He's gone. And all they have to hang on to, and this is really sad, all they have is nostalgia. All they have is nostalgia for what they used to watch, for what they used to be. They used to be a competitive club, competing at the top end of the table. They used to have top quality players, and they could go toe to toe with anyone. That's all they have is that nostalgia. That's how I look at Newcastle. When I look at Newcastle, I think they're a team now. They're a big club, and they're a team that's going nowhere. They're a club that's going nowhere. And I don't know who could come in and who could change that. And they had someone that had ambition in Rafa Benitez, but it didn't work out. And now they've got Steve Bruce, who's trying his hardest, but it doesn't seem like it's working out. And he's doing everything he can, and he's receiving death threats and abuse and all this sort of stuff. That's what I've read. I've read that stuff. The stories, and it's appalling. But what can he do? What can he do, Steve Bruce? What can any of those Newcastle fans do about what's going on at their club? Because it is a pattern. It's a holding pattern for Newcastle. Get relegated, come back up, survive, stay around 11th, 12th, and that's an okay season. Maybe go on a cup run and get to a quarter final. But it doesn't feel like there's any hope or optimism. That club, I know I said this, that club is rotten, and it's been rotting for a long time. But they have glimmers of hope with performances against Liverpool and the performance against Southampton, the performance tonight. They have little moments. But fans deserve more than that. Fans deserve more than the odd moment. They want to go and see their team be competitive and perform, and they want to enjoy what they've seen. And how can they be? Take those 3 games out of it, and look at the rest of the season. It must be very frustrating. It must be very disappointing. But it's the same. I could come back on here after the next Newcastle game and pretty much be saying the same thing. So, you can't fault the effort and the commitment tonight. You can't. You really can't. And I think for all these people that criticise Steve Bruce, you've got to give him credit tonight, because they did go out and attack the game, and they played really well. And I thought they deserved to win the game. Yes, I from watching them in other games, they were a bit too defensive, but they've shown tonight, and that they do have it within themselves to go out there and attack. And they were unlucky tonight, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And I think if they were going to win a game, it was going to have to be this one tonight. Because with the performance and the result as well, it would have given them that boost that they need, that boost, and giving them a bit of momentum going into the next few games. But I don't know now. I don't know where they go from here. What do you think is next for Newcastle United? If you haven't subscribed already, drop me a subscription, drop me a like as well, because that's just really nice. And of course, leave any thoughts, comments, and feedback that you have on this video, because all that good stuff just helps me when I'm creating future content. If you've got any suggestions for other videos, any other football related videos, certain clubs, or anything outside of football, because I do have interests outside of football and it'd be nice at some point to talk about those things, then of course let me know in the comments section. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all soon.